This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the G-Spot Podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
You are in G-Spot Podcast with Katie Silcox.
Hey everybody, this is brought to you by one of my favorite Ayurveda products, Ahara ghee. It's the ghee that I personally use in my own kitchen, and it's the one that I fully stand behind. I personally know the owners, and I can assure you that this ghee is always cultured and truly grass-fed with third-party verification. And what I most love is that they make this ghee in small batches in the traditional Ayurvedic way. That means from cultured cream and slow churned, sourced from small family farms and pastured year-round. As if that weren't enough, this is the first ghee company in the world to be animal welfare certified by A Greener World. This is the ghee to buy, you guys, and we'll make sure you get those links in the show notes where you can go head over to Ahara ghee. Hey everybody, Katie here, back with you at the Ghee Spot, and I know it sounds typical when we say, oh, I'm so excited about being with this next guest, but Indu is one of my favorite yoginis, and I consider her one of our senior teachers here at Shakti school and a real vidya, which means a carrier of this Ayurvedic knowledge and lineage. She's an Ayurveda and yoga therapist. She is inspired and taught under Kriya Yoga, Himalayan Yoga, Kashmir Shaivism, and Shivananda yoga lineages, and has studied both yoga and Ayurveda in a traditional Guru Parampara setting. She is also the author of a book that is really beautiful called Mudra, The Sacred Secret, and Yoga, Ancient Heritage, Tomorrow's Vision. She has a new book out that we are going to talk about today that I love, that is called Soma. So Indu, welcome to the Ghee Spot. How are you?
Thank you so much, Katie, for having me. I'm doing very well. And please accept my greetings, those who are listening this podcast. And I would just like to say that please welcome me as a fellow student, as a fellow seeker. Yogini is very higher rank. I'm so happy, so content with just being a lifetime sincere seeker. If by the end of this lifetime I can justify the role of being a student, I'm content.
Yes. Yeah, just being with Indu, my body starts to shake from side to side like a blade of grass in the wind. Like, oh, I'm back with Indu. Just good vibrations. So welcome. I want to just really dive in, and the word of your book coming out that is called Soma is one of my favorite Sanskrit words. And so I think it would be fun just to kick it off to ask you, A, what does that word mean to you? And B, why did you choose it as the title of your next piece of work?
Well, thank you for bringing up this question. It's so important, when an author titles their work, it's like really that moment when everything comes together, everything consolidates. And it's really the moment of, how when there is a big file and you kind of consolidate it to a zip file, and then that's also not enough, then you have to name it. Mm-hmm. It's that moment when all your intention behind it becomes crystal clear. Mm-hmm. So the meaning, as you asked, Katie, very rightly, what does Soma mean for you? Because there is a way to understand the word, and that is just by going by the rules of grammar and seeing what are the syllables that's coming together. And, I want to share this with the listeners, and maybe some of you already know, and maybe Katie, you also already know, that the term for the the letters in Devanagari script is called Matrika, which means little mothers. Like each one of them filled with the potential to express so much that is possible by simply translating, and that is also not possible by simply translating. So the word Soma, it actually comes from so, and so comes from the Somya, which means the lunar quality. And when we say Soma, it is not just the lunar quality, it is if all of the moon energy, lunar energy, all of the motherly energy in any form that we receive, if we have to condense it in a drop of nectar, and that drop of nectar touches your heart, that experience is called Soma. That, when that arises in the being, in your mind, what would be that state of mind called? That state of mind is Soma. And for me, the reason why I called this book, which is Soma 100 Heritage Recipes for Self-Care, is because these are the recipes passed on to me, the remedies passed on to me, the practices passed on to me by all those who I can count as mothers. Whether they were in a fatherly body, whether they was in a male guru's body, whether it was in a female guru's body, these were people who have mothered me in some way or the other and brought in their very specific concoction, their very specific formula, and shared with me at that point in time. And that slowly shaped me or sculpted me in who I am and who I continue to be sculpted further into. And I feel that when something which is so precious is shared, it becomes like distant, like a drop of nectar, like Soma. And Soma also means motherly energy. So it just felt right to call this book Soma. But why now? Because I think we have given over importance to doing. And not just that, we have also given over importance to not just doing, but doing multiple things. And not just doing multiple things, but excelling in all of them. And because of that, we have really, really made ourselves spread out so thin, so burned out, so exhausted. And yet we keep, like, I'm sorry that I'm using this word, but being greedy. We just are so greedy, so insecure. We keep demanding more and more from our body, from our mind, without ever thinking of giving back. And this is, I feel this energy, this lunar, motherly, nurturing, nourishing energy is not just what is needed. We owe it to our body. There has to be reciprocation. What kind of relationship are we having with our body and minds?
Right. I love this. Exactly. And Soma in the Greek tradition is Soma and Psyche, mind and body. And Soma is like the realm of actual prana, like our energetic realm. And I love this idea of giving back to the body, because I think when a lot of women hear, and I love this idea of greediness. I think it's unconscious in a lot of us, but it is this in the tantric tradition. It's called the hungry ghosts, and in the Western tradition, it's called the wolf that's never fed. And if we stay in that realm of psyche, the Soma is actually where we get to experience the nourishment. And as I was looking through your book, I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to print this up and put it by my meditation station. And in the afternoon, I want to just put my body there and really take it as giving back. Because I think one of the things in the wellness industry that I know you and I are trying to not counteract, but bring a different vision is you're doing so you can improve, rather doing this as a gift to the body. And like the bhavana, the spirit in which it's given, is everything, So I think my next question is related, Indu. It's like, I want to do everything in your book every day. And by the way, everyone should get this book because Indu and I are like soul twins, like from different parts of the world, but I feel that you're my sister. But especially when I read your book, and it's so funny and modern, and yet you, like me, love the tradition. And so there are two pieces. A, can you speak to what you feel about this importance of merging the traditional and the modern? And then maybe we'll get to how we can approach self-care so it's not overwhelming. Because Ayurveda has a lot of rules.
See, okay. So let's take the part one of the thought that you brought forward, the merging of the tradition and the modern technology or the present times and so on. Those of you who are listening right now, this is an ebook, and both my previous book have been hard copies, and this has been a conscious choice to be an ebook because we need this kind of recipes for health at our tips, in our pocket. We cannot deny the fact that almost everyone, let me not generalize, but almost everyone has some kind of a smart device, and we are using it. So now the same tool can be utilized for benefit. And I feel that this last year, if it has taught us something, it is that the only eventual home that we have is in this body, because there is nowhere else we could go to really fill up the gap, to really numb ourselves or to really distract ourselves.